Hmm. Ma'am 30 now. Shall we proceed? Good.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? We hope you all are doing great in your lives.
The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within the spectrum.
Even encourage the more critical and dissident views that gives people the sense that there is free thinking going on, while all the time the presuppositions of the system are being reinforced by the limits put on the range of the debate.
Today, we all are gathered here for the Battle of Wits, an inter-college debate competition on the topic should cyberspace be regulated. Ujjwal, what do you think about this topic?
Crimes of global repercussion are also committed with the use of the internet. Trafficking of people, kidnapping for ransom, and terrorism are perpetrated with the use of cyberspace. Freedom, thus in cyberspace, should not be exercised without the concomitant responsibility of its users.
You are right, Ujjwal. Now let me acknowledge you with the judges of the day, Ms. Suman Singh and Dr. Ruby Daya. Please give a huge round of applause.
Our first judge is Ms. Suman Singh. Ms. Suman Singh works as an assistant professor in computer science department in IITM. She has 14 years of experience. She has done MCA, MTech from GGSIP University, UGC NET qualified and pursuing PhD in information security. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your presence here.
Thank you.
Our second judge is Dr. Ruby Dhaya. Dr. Ruby Dhaya is currently working as head of the computer science department at IITM. She completed her PhD in computer science engineering, School of Computing and IT in Manipal University, Jaipur in 2019 in the network security using data mining techniques and MTech from Guru Gobind Singh Interpress University in the year 2010. She did B.Tech in electronics in the year 2001 from Aligarh Muslim University.
She has rich experience of 20 years in industry research and academics. She has various publications in national and international journals proceedings. Her area of interest is computer network, microprocessors, data mining, and network security. She is active member of IEE, CSI, ACM, and CSI. Thank you so much for your precious time, ma'am.
Now, let's listen to the students and see what different views do they have regarding this. But before that, let's go through the rules and regulations. Rule number one, each team member will be given 3 minutes of time, 2 minutes for speech, and 1 minute for interjection. Rule number two, against partner will interject only once the affirmative member completes his part and vice versa. Rule number three, all the participants are requested to kindly switch off their camera until their turn comes.
Rule number 4, the point of the opponent will be deducted if he or she is not able to refute within the stipulated time and will be credited to the speaking member. Rule number 5, teams exceeding the time limit will be disqualified. Rule number 6, the decision of judges shall be final and indisputable. Rule number 7, use of cuss words and insult will straight away lead to disqualification. All the best, everyone. So our first team is Anurag Sethi speaking for the motion and Vidhi Chaudhary speaking against the motion.
Uh, Sorry, ma'am, for the interruption, but I want to ask one question.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, will you please repeat the timing, like for the constructive speech and the interjection time? It is 3+1 or 2+1?
Manshraj, it's 2 plus 1, 2 minutes for speech and 1 minute
Ma'am,
for the interjection.
yesterday in the group itself,
Ma'am, but
you said that it will be 3+1, not 2+1.
Right,
yes,
right.
ma'am.
So
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
a change in the speech. The timing per participant will be 4 minutes, which is 3+1. 3 minutes for constructive speech and 1 minute for interjection.
Okay, that's totally fine. Just give us a minute. Let us confirm it, okay? Please hold on for a second. They are saying कि ग्रुप में कल उनको बोला है कि हाँ yeah, hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, that's totally fine. It's 4 minutes, okay? Okay, so now I again request Mr. Anurag Sethi and Vidhi Chaudhary, could you please proceed?
Yeah. Am I visible?
Yes, you are visible.
Okay, so a very good morning to all the esteemed members present here. I'm Anurag Sati, and I'll be the proposition speaker for the topic, Should cyberspace be regulated? Now, what I mean by the term cyberspace is basically the digitalization across time and space across the world, which enables us to exchange plethora of knowledge amongst us. And by its regulation, what we infer is the necessity to control or maintain its aspects around the world, which generally include age restriction or cybersecurity. The exact definition states that cyberspace regulation is the directives that are issued to safeguard cyberspace from attacks such as trojans, viruses, and stealth, and so on. And to make this idea clear, I would like to put forth some points to support the motion. The first point that definitely pops up my mind is cybersecurity. I mean, there's no way a country would do well if they rely on a platform whose security check is not complete. Now imagine your entire nation's secret hanging on a loose thread. No one can forget about the infamous Pegasus incident which happened in August. Now, with such vindictive occurrences happening on a large scale, with where mobile phones of leading opposition parties, including the Chief Justice of India, were tapped, how can we ensure proper safety without any means to it? With the help of suitable and reliable software, we'll be able to regulate such threats. Following this, the next point that definitely comes to my mind is privacy. Now, this is some prominent factor which can cause some detrimental issues to a large extent. We've all heard about the boys' locker room incident, which happened around May 2020. Obscene images of women, many of them underage, were circulated on Instagram chats. There was an outpour of public rage and anger. Be it launch codes of a nuclear attack or a simple Instagram account password, we all need privacy. And ensuring its proper implementation is a vital task. Now, coming to the third point, we have anonymity as well, which gives us the freedom to portray or be whomever we like. A person who is an introvert in the physical realm might be some of the best chat openers behind the screen. There is this platform which is available on net called Omegle, where random strangers can come and have a good one-to-one connection. The catch that comes with it is they have completely no boundaries over there. There is absolutely no mechanism to govern what the user can indulge in or what he can showcast. Numerous flashing incidents are practiced on a daily basis, and thus a regulatory authority over here is a must. Another vital factor that comes into picture is social media and how it should be regulated. There is no end to cyberbullying, child pornography, hackers, spyware softwares. With the use of social media, and there should be a strict hand above of all such activities to a large extent. For this, I want to further add that question shouldn't be like whether to control it, regulate it or not. The question must be how we should do it. And for this, if there is one feasible solution which I would like to offer is that we've all often seen it on social media platforms, that whenever we are going through our friend stories on Instagram, we often find that the items that we have already placed on our cart, such as Amazon or Flipkart, we often tend to find that amongst our friend stories. Now, what I intend to do is I intend to make use of that similar AI-driven software to just prejudge a person's age. And thus, we'll be able to regulate such threats. We'll be able to manage, guess what the person's age is, and thus we'll be able to eliminate such threats to a large extent. Finally, I would like to conclude myself by saying that perfectly balanced as all things should be, and it's unsaid that we are in dire need of such optimization of cyberspace. Thank you. Are there any room for POIs?
Okay, can I make my POI interjection?
Yeah.
Okay, Anurag, you talked about how government should be regulating the cyberspace for more secure um platform. But
Yeah.
if the government is regulating the cyberspace, don't you think that it would use it for its propaganda and propagation of their ideology, as we see that how China controls the whole nation, cyberspace and internet? They restrict the flow of information from the masses, and there is no transparency between the government and the people. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, I believe that we all know that China is a single government nation, and regardless of that, in India we have democracy, and I believe that that's something that should be pointed out as well. I mean, we can't just go ahead with that, right? We can't compare ourselves with China to that case. In India, if suppose there is a need to cyber regulation, then that should be the case, I guess. Uh, do you want to
Did
add on?
not work further in interjections, no?
Okay, Vidhi.
Okay.
So are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Okay, when I have to start my speech, could you let me know?
Yeah, you can start now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vidhi, and I'll be speaking against the motion should cyberspace be regulated. The internet is a new communication space, also called cyberspace, in which we not only communicate but also work, learn, buy, and have fun. It not seems to be a mere tool of our, but a dimension that becomes part of our existence. As an opposition speaker, my burden is to prove as to why cyberspace is not needed to be regulated, for which I will be stating the following points. My proposition leader has just said that there is no legal framework for regulating the cyberspace. Contrary to that, I would make a point that 144 countries have enacted cybercrime legislation. Different countries have enacted their own national cyber laws. Government in dozens of countries actively interfere with what their citizens can search for online. In most places, these blocks are simply pornographic filters, but in other, it extends to all areas of life. China is the most extreme example of this. If you search for something the Chinese government doesn't want you reading about, your access is blocked. Foreign news, websites, and social media are also restricted, forcing citizens to use domestic government approved services while cutting off contact to the outside world, snatching away the freedom of expression from the masses. Secondly, almost every week we hear about government mandated online disruptions. Such internet shutdowns are mostly driven by excuses of national security concerns and preserving public order, while governments apply censorship as a tool to suffocate disagreement. Internet shutdown gives a more immediate effect to this. The internet has become the main source to our voice and opinions, and given the present online scenario, internet shutdowns, particularly the total shutdown, should be thought as a human rights violation. India recorded the highest number of internet shutdowns in the world in 2020. Out of 155 internet shutdowns, alone India was having 109 shutdowns, leaving the netizens unable to connect to internet freely. And in this digital darkness, students cannot apply for jobs, academic research was killed, and news networks could not function properly. My fourth constructive point is that cyberspace is a place for new innovation that makes life easy. One such upcoming concept is of digital currency. One can use digital currency only through computers and mobile devices. Currency in digital form has gained dominance over multiple countries. For instance, only 1/10 of the total currency circulates in form of cash in the US. The benefits of digital currencies like bitcoins and Ethereum and their decentralized method of transaction made many governments accept this new concept, and they are interested in creating their own digital currencies. There are many benefits of using this mode of transaction, like it requires no physical manufacturing, can reduce the transaction cost, makes monetary and fiscal policies easier. The regulation of cyberspace will hinder the functioning of cryptocurrency, the dawn of the new age. Lastly, I would conclude that cyberspace is a freewheeling mind space at the cutting edge of innovation, precisely because of the absence of sovereignty and artificial barriers. Declaring sovereignty here is as absurd as extending one's jurisdiction, jurisdiction deep into the minds of others. Thank you. Now the floor is open for any interjection.
Yeah, ma'am, can I ask something? Can I interject over here? Yeah. Yeah, Vidya, I actually wanted to ask that we've all heard about this deep web. What we're working on it right now is a surface web, and there's stuff called deep web also, and where all the illegal stuff, the human trafficking, and all sorts of violence occurrences are happening over there. So I believe that there is a need for regulation over there also. And do you have any opinions on that?
Vices are present in our society, and this is a problem of um, the it is a problem of people, and this cannot be eradicated once for all. So we have seen that different countries have different policies for regulating these what we say these illegal activities that are happening on internet platforms. But at the same time, I would say that a proper interference of government on this platform is not feasible for us, because it would hinder the functioning and new ideas that would propagate, and it would give the world a new direction. So I don't think regulations are necessary unless it's a very concerning problem in the society. Thank you.
So, Anurag, are you done?
Yes, ma'am, I'm done.
That's great. So, thank you so much, Anurag and Vidhi. That was really great. Thank you.
Now, our second team is Vanshraj speaking for the motion and Shringal speaking against the motion. I hope I'm audible, Vanshraj and Shringal.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yes, you are audible.
Ma'am, I hope I am visible and audible.
Yes, Vanshraj, you are.
Ma'am, I want to ask one thing, like you are giving me, you are running the timer or I have to run the timer?
I am running the timer, Vanshraj. I am.
Okay, ma'am, will you please give me a tap after 90 seconds?
Will do, will do.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. So, ma'am, shall I start?
Yes, Vanshraj.
Okay. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I am Vanshad Jamin, and I will be speaking for the motion on the given topic that the House believes that the cyberspace should be regulated. The cyberspace refers to a virtual computer world, and more specifically, an electronic medium that is used to facilitate online communication. The idea of cyberspace regulation implies that all the activities on cyberspace will be under surveillance. The risk of our private information being compromised to people or groups with ill intent states. This is where the role of cybersecurity comes. To make this clear, I would like to state some comprehensive points. The first being that the idea of religious riots being stopped, which implies riots that are caused due to a link between misinformation and radicalization on social media. For example, the role played by social media in inciting violence comes under the scanner once again in 2019 for investigating of a man who published a single post on Facebook during the protest against the controversial Act CAA-NRC. Due to his single post, the peaceful protest got converted into a riot in which 53 people lost their precious life. Moving on, my second constructive, I would like to state is the excessive unfair advantage which political parties take during the time of elections. As we all know, today's youth is inclined towards the social media, due to which parties share posts and stories regarding false information about their agendas and throw slurs, put blame on other parties, which helps them creating a huge vote bank, which helps them in creating a huge vote bank. And in this scenario, election commission have the powers to put restrictions on these posts and stories. Now, third point. Moving ahead, would be that statistics show that middle class families or lower class families are the ones who get mostly affected by fraud cases. which happen on the cyberspace. And if we talk about India, then more than 70% people fall under this category. To protect these families, it is essential to put cyberspace under regulation. Fourthly, I want to include the point that how terrorism get new feathers with the evolution of cyberspace terror. Terrorists are able to know all the locations of power plants, including atomic and nuclear. They get the second to second information of their target. To eradicate this problem, it is necessary to implement regulation of cyberspace, especially in a country like India, where we are already fighting against terrorism from all fronts, including Taliban from Afghanistan, Al Qaeda from Pakistan, and of course, military attacks from China also. Lastly, I believe that my fellow mates may talk about the privacy of an individual would may come under a microscope, but in fact, rather affecting social life of a people. It will help them personally. They may get rid of mental pressure and depression problems. For example, if someone is suffering from mental pressure, then that person is mainly seen to be searching for these problems. Now, with the help of artificial intelligence AI server, it may be helpful to provide them with better consultants or some motivational quotes, which may even result in decrement of
Once your
suicide.
3 minutes
So
are
that's
up.
it. Are there any? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Are there any questions on the floor?
Yeah, I would like to ask a favor. But as you said that terrorism can be prevented after the regulation on net. So do you think just a small step of regulation can stop such a big activity from its root cause?
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for asking this question. So, firstly, I want to say whenever we want to take any forward step, first we take a very small step. And to fight against the terrorism, this small step helps very much to a whole world. For example, if we ban put regulation on the cyberspace, the terrorist regulation activities come under the scanner. They get okay. Now we are not freely to do anything. They will get nervous, and due to this nervosity they also create some other nuisances or other mistakes which help countries to eradicate the terrorism from their root cause. So that's it from my side.
7 seconds to go for your 1 minute interjection. Three, two, and one. Shrinjal, please start your part. Please unmute your mic, Shrinjal.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shrinjal Gupta, and I'm going to put my views against the motion that cyberspace should be regulated. Few moments ago, my proposition leader explained the topic very well, and I agree with him, but I would like to gainsay his opinion. Firstly, being I believe regulation of data can increase corruption and illegal activities. Many unfair means are used to tap phones, even though data is not regulated. Spywares can be installed without the permission of users and can observe their password, messages, call logs, and etc. Even after the regulation, monitoring these activities will be easier and can be used for personal benefits. Here, I would like to give example of Mexico, where in 2017, the government used the spyware Pegasus to tap phones of reporters, activists, and other people against corruption. Even in 2019, WhatsApp confirmed use of spyware by video call in India as well. Secondly, I would like to highlight the power given to the government can be used in the favor of ruling party. The information would not be freely available as it is. It will be filtered. The government can omit articles and news to hide the truth. Like in China, the net search are biased and manipulated in the favor of ruling party. You cannot post something against the ruling party. This even leads to deprivation of freedom of speech. Thirdly, I would like the proposition bench majorly argue about misinformation and radicalization on social media. That can be controlled by the regulation of cyberspace. Talking about misspread of information, it can be managed by other alternatives. For example, many social media platforms are updated with the feature of report, while some are labeled forwarded messages to differentiate the messages from the original sender, along with setting limits to forwards. So, fourthly, I would like to bring out the issue of privacy and freedom to limelight. Cyberspace regulation will change the way of communication, voice text, sharing messages, and video calls will never be the same again. People will not be comfortable sharing information with loved ones when the conversation will be transparent to the server. Here, I would like you to recall about early 2021 when the rumor about WhatsApp said to be regulated by Facebook and the messages no longer be end-to-end encrypted was spread. Most people were looking for other alternatives like Telegram and try to reduce the use of WhatsApp. Fifthly, I would like to target the issue of cybercrime, and it will be regulated by cyberspace. No, the problem would not be solved. This in fact this will cause technological obstruction, making the system complicated due to the restriction cost. Here, I'd like to give example of features like troubleshoot and software repairs, which won't be easily accessible. Thank you. Hereby, I would like to say that regulation will give an upper hand to the democracy and will increase problems for common man. Thank you.
Your 1 minute for interjection has started now.
Okay, so ma'am, I want to ask a question. You are talking about a technical obstruction or technological obstruction. Okay, so don't you believe when the whole things are not under cyber regulation, there are many proxy servers, many viruses which come under the system. Due to these systems only, the technological obstruction comes. Their system fails. They have to go to the repair offices and many other things. So, what are your views on this?
I would like to say the problem like viruses can be easily solved by installation of antivirus and just a bit of awareness for which folder to open, on which permission to give. But when we will regulate the cyberspace, the more problems like software updates, as I said in my speech, will arise, making it difficult for the common man to rush to the repair center every time, and this will even need professional help. Thank you.
You still have 30 seconds for interjection, guys, if you want to come up with some.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. I want to ask question. You are talking about a personal information come under a microscope. For example, they are not able to talk more freely. But don't you think when they know that if they are sending message to an individual and that message goes to that person only, not to a some other person, and that so they will don't think they will more precious and more feel comfortable in this.
No, obviously not. If your texts are being transparent to the server, you will think twice before sending a message, and even just in a normal conversation and discussion. And even the video calls and WhatsApp, there will be some obstructions due to the new updates, and that would not be as simple as they are right now. And as man is a social animal, it will affect their social life. Thank you.
Ma'am, is there any time left?
No, there isn't. There isn't.
Okay.
Okay, so our third train is Chirag Sekhpal speaking for the motion and Alicia Sethi speaking against the motion.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, Chirag,
So, ma'am, please tell me when to start.
you can start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chirag Sehgal, the proposition speaker of Team 3. I will be speaking for the motion that the House believes cyberspace should be regulated. Cyberspace is a virtual world created by links between computers, internet-enabled devices, servers, routers, and other components of Internet's infrastructure. Cyberspace core feature is an interactive and virtual environment for a broad range of participants. To regulate typically means to monitor or control a certain product, process, a set of behaviors according to certain requirements, standards, or protocols. The internet has undergone an amazing transformation since its invention. It has evolved from being a medium used exclusively by techies to one of the general public consumption and utility. Because of this increased interest in and use of internet, cyberspace is quickly becoming an important forum for communicating and commerce. Therefore, with this evolution, the cyberspace should be regulated. The reasons behind it being, first and foremost, cyberspace spans worldwide, but it has no formal framework. There's no definite boundary except the capacity of the hardware used for access. No single individual, entity, or government owns or controls cyberspace. Therefore, they use unethical means to take control. Like the shadow network of China that stole information from Indian government associated with Dalai Lama by hacking into their servers. And we all know the power of North Korea in terms of nuclear weapons. What if they try to hack in the servers of other countries to steal their nuclear codes? To make my idea more comprehensive, I would like to state my second point in a distinctive manner. The internet is also a medium for character assassination. As it provides obscurity, it is easy for people to create fictitious identities. Like recently, Mandira Bedi was trolled over the internet for performing the last rites of her husband. Third point being that crimes of global repercussion are also committed with the use of internet, such as selling of dangerous weapons and terrorism are perpetrated with the use of cyberspace. Tomorrow's terrorists may be able to do more damage with a keyboard rather than with a bomb. We have seen how ISIS broadcasted their message through social media and its propaganda networks to recruit and inspire foreign fighters by brainwashing their minds. Also, India being the populous democracy in the world, internet facilities were shut down in Kashmir in 2019, and that was a major setback, and its effects can still be seen. Last but not the least, the opposition side of the bench might raise a point that the government should not regulate the cyberspace, whereas I believe that if the government won't regulate the cyberspace, then who will? Because it's their responsibility to take care of the security and sovereignty of the country. So, in a nutshell, the internet is a dynamic or ever evolving work in process. Maybe in the future, we might encounter more car cloners than pickpockets, as everything is shifting to virtual mode. Non-regulated cyberspace can propose remarkable social and political challenges to most of the contemporary society. Therefore, there is a serious need to regulate cyberspace. Thank you. Are there any interjections on the floor?
Yeah, so I would like to ask that you said the government should regulate the cyberspace. So don't you think that then they would promote their ideologies?
Okay. So, to answer this question, I'll answer it to you two ways. So, basically, when a government is elected, right? So, the majority of the people vote for it. That's because they believe in their ideology. Okay, firstly that, and they keep in their mind that in the further elections, if they want to win, they can't do such a thing. They can't promote their ideology because there are minor communities also. This is the first point. And second point, I would answer that in a parliament, whenever a bill is to be passed, it is to be passed by all the members present. Like, there is a major vote which is counted to pass that motion to make it a law. So, like in a democracy like India, so there are opposition parties and there is the ruling party, and also there are other members who represent the minor communities. So whenever such a party does something like this, the other opposition parties are there only for this, so that they don't promote these ideologies, so that they still have a chance to win. And yes, so I hope I answer your question. And if there are any other questions, you may ask.
Thank you. That was it.
Thank you.
Can I start now?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so good morning all. I'm
Good
Alisha Sethi
evening.
and I'll be the oppositional speaker for the topic Should cyberspace be regulated? Now, as we all are aware of the fact that with the arrival of personal computers to homes and businesses, it became possible to interconnect these devices through a network that when connected becomes a world-class system which is primarily the cyberspace. As an oppositional speaker, my burden is to prove why cyberspace is not needed to be regulated, for which I will state the following points. So applying legal system is ineffective in regulating cyberspace. The existing laws and the regulation have their basis on physical world activities. Consequences of digitalization and automation is that many internet activities are widely distributed both among the actors, jurisdictions, thus making it difficult and impossible to apply existing laws to the internet analogs of the physical world activities. So, secondly, the multiple jurisdictions can be the one factor because of the anonymity of the internet user, absence of geographical boundaries in the cyberspace, and the cross border effect of internet transactions. All legal systems face legal uncertainty. Now, the problem policing can also be the one thing, the lack of technical knowledge, the non cooperation among the different police organizations, etc., can make the problem too difficult to be solved. Thirdly, the characteristics of cyberspace make national and international laws inappropriate to keep with the digital developments. So, governments themselves are unable to regulate the cyberspace activities because of the mechanism by which the laws are adopted does not match the ubiquitous nature of the cyberspace activities. So in the case of boys' locker room, the privacy concerns was being raised because of the pictures that were leaked in the various social media platforms. Now, if the proposition is trying to say that there is a need to regulation for the same, or maybe there's a need for building up the app software to tackle the situation, contradicting to it stands a real life cyber attack, like in the case of Pegasus. We can see how government are using it to counter terrorism, but in the name to counter it, it is anyway leading to compromising our privacy and the data is being leaked. Now, fourthly, filtering information, creating censorship, or building online gates as state borders will affect the human rights because of this approach does not take into consideration that cyberspace is the main supporter of the fundamental human rights such as educational, political, and the civil ones, as it provides a free flow of information.
Now, lastly, the government in every country, public policy makers, computer professionals, organizations, and private citizens must all take an interest and make their contribution so that this global information can be exploited in a socially and ethically sensitive way for our future benefit and applications. Our civil society is consisting of various NGOs active in the field of information society. They're functioning as a watchdog for action against restrictive measures and for the protection of human rights in the field of cybersecurity. Since cyberspace can be regulated at such small and even personal levels, there's no need to regulate the cyberspace as a whole unit by the government every time and everywhere, which in turn is causing privacy and the implementations issues at the personal and the public level. So that is it from my side. Any POIs on the floor?
Yeah. So, can I speak, like, is there time? Can I ask?
Yes,
Yeah,
start
okay.
please.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned in your speech that, it should not be regulated. So, like, do you have in your mind any other idea not being regulated? Because in your speech, I only found, that it should not be regulated because of this. But there are no points, what should be done else so that, these security breaches can be controlled. So, do you have any other alternatives in your mind?
Yeah. So basically, like we all know about the harmful effects of cyberspace, this can be done via regulation. Like instead of treating it via regulation, there are few other alternatives as well. So like promoting technology that better protects the social institutions can be the one thing, like stimulating or requiring tech companies to introduce products and services that better the social institutions and the internet users can be the one thing. Then secondly, the education about the internet and its consequences can be done at the personal level. So, and like the third point that comes into mind is like the stronger the social services that support the internet users is one policy that involves the strengthening of social services. So, yeah, that is it.
1 minute is
Can I
up.
ask okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now our fourth team is Aditya Kumar speaking for the motion and Aman Jain speaking against the motion. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, you're audible. Should I start?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, thank you. First of all, good afternoon to all. I am Aditya Kumar, the proposition speaker for Team 5. I'll be expressing my views for the motion that should cyberspace be regulated. Firstly, I would conclude what is cyberspace. Cyberspace is actually a virtual infrastructure that provides an electronic medium for connection of online global community. Most of us present here would agree with the utilities of internet to humankind, and its pervasive presence has provided us with the third eye of wisdom. But our utterance online seems to generate a threat. The lack of formal framework makes cyberspace nobody's domain, as no independent government body controls over it, and which asks for a demand to regulate cyberspace, which is absolutely necessary. To make this idea clear, I would like to state some comprehensive points. Firstly, the poverty in the cubicle, accessing the data that are not allowed to do, which concerns the question of obscenity and pornography, gives a push to narrow mentality toward child abuse and rape cases, which are one of the biggest problems in India. So there should be a strict restriction on the adultery contents over OTT services and other platforms also. Secondly are the terrorists with access to internet and the people exchanging their data over internet. That creates a threat for nation security. As terrorists use social media services usually to run propaganda and mislead young minds to pick weapon against nation and humanity. For example, in our own country, the attack of 2611 became only possible because of unregulated social media policies and major security flaws. After losing around 175 lives and families, Government of India amended its 2000 IT Act in December 2008, but that is not enough. And the third concern is around the figure of piracy. A person downloads a data in the way that subverts the traditional understanding of property. The film industry of our India loses around 22,000 crores and 60,000 jobs every year due to piracy. These data breaches can be stopped by securing database station with only permissible access. Firstly are the cyber attacks, as we are all in pain of that. Due to easily accessible our user data, unchecked policies over social media site, sometimes putting our nation on edge. The Indian Computer Emergency Response Team under MIT published a recent report to Lok Sabha that there is 37% increase in cyber attack in the first quarter of 2020 compared to 2019. In only 2020, around 7 lakh cyber crimes were reported. So I think there must be an independent regulatory body just like Election Commission of India or Vigilance Commission of India to keep an eye on it. Lastly, the opposition side of bench might raise a point that self-regulation would set the foundation of country's autonomy, liberty, and privacy of individual. But I believe that there is nothing beyond nation's pride and security. Because as well, our nation is identity. It's our duty to be responsible to our nation's security, keeping our selfnesses aside. To conclude my all points, I would say the emphasis of regulation would be on conduct of user. Trusting profit-making organization for the sake of pseudo-anonymity is not wise, as it has been source of great anxiety. The government that is chosen for us, being the watchdog of democracy, can be believed to regulate our privacy and security. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present my views. Are there any interjections on the floor?
Aman, Mr. Aman Jain, are you here? Aman? Okay, so Aditya,
Hello.
maybe, yeah, yes, Aman.
Yeah. Sorry for the delay. As you said that the government is regulating the regulation of the cyberspace, but there are some. I have a question. Like in today's scenario, there is no flagging system for users to report instructional terrorism manual or disturbing extremist content on Google. There are some internet giants which should take more responsibility for allowing the such content on their platforms only. So my question is, why does the internet giants are not made to take more responsibility?
As I also mentioned in my speech, the internet giants that you are mentioning are actual profit-making organizations. They are not doing for the sake of humanity. They are doing for making profit. They have their business, and the government that is chosen by us. We have a stand on their policies that is bound to secure our data. So we can trust them, but we can't authorize someone else other than government that you keep my data and you secure it. That would be much flaw in data breach, as I think so.
1 minute is
No.
done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
can I start the speech? Um, okay. Welcome from this side of the. Just a second. Can I turn on the camera?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Welcome from this side of the house, respected honorable judges and my fellow mates. I am here to present my views against the regulation of cyberspace. The first question that comes to our mind about cyberspace is what it is. It is basically a notional environment in which communication over computer networks occur. Secondly, is it really important for having a regulation on such environment? In my opinion, it's not. Where there's an advantage, there's always an opposing disadvantage. The internet has been in the spotlight for years because of its increasing ability to be used by those who abuse its power. Regulating the cyberspace would automatically mean restricting the flow of information as well as its exchange. It would impress people from being communicative and expressive. The information we access is invaluable, and for a policy or act to come in and snatch that away would be the end of the internet as we know it. As we all know, media is a gargantuan entity that presides over our daily decisions and our sense of the world. Authorities abusing its powers by putting a regulation on it, confining the freedom of speech and getting informed. It's like making the nation deaf and blind. For instance, if information is quite present in our media channels, the awareness of the general public regarding this information increase dramatically. If people only get filtered information that is in line with the presence of governments, they will get a wrong impression about the whole scenario. As per the George Bernard Shaw, the great dramatist, he said that the condition of progress is the removal of regulation. The flaws in regulation are, firstly, the religion is often used to promote censorship. Misusing religion to sustain power is another problem that arises from censorship. Religion is a powerful tool when it comes to controlling the behavior of general public. It leads to flawed and biased perception of reality amongst individuals and will result in a narrow horizon of people. To access, they will only perceive the world in a way that is in the line with the preference of government in the specific country. There is discrimination of minorities. Education may suffer for children, which are future for nation. It can also slow down technological, social, and economical progress. Small elites govern country leads to horrendous political crimes, shifts accountability, and not only limits the content you can access, but potentially the content you post as well. System doesn't actually filter the materials. Instead, it establishes the rules for transmitting them. Like around there are 352 organizations, government, and agencies which can develop PISCS system based tailored to their particular agendas, but these systems are too far from perfect. Moreover, my time is over.
20 seconds.
Okay. Moreover, freedom is quite a valuable good, and restriction of information tries to confine our overall level of freedom. Using these ways that aren't acceptable is what puts officials on edge. The issue is more than a decade old when bloggers took the internet to speak out against the repressive governments. In my opinion, regulation on cyberspace should only be
Three
used in a
minutes.
pretty limited manner in order to guarantee access to important information for the general public. Anything you are regulating can't be innovative. Thanks.
1 minute for the interjection.
Thank you, ma'am. As Aman, as you mentioned, that the regulation would lead to uh, loss of flow of information that is now easily accessible to everyone. But the thing is that we are not supposed to regulate the things that are easily accessible, such as the points you mentioned in your speech that it is providing information to the child or the students who want to study, or the data that you want to put over internet and take use. That is not going to be regulated, as I think. And the other point is that this regulation would make the country deaf and blind. The nation would get deaf and blind due to the regulation. But I don't think that's so. Can you say something about it?
Uh, Firstly, you have said the for the nation, it's because of the media. As we all know that the media is a quantum entity by which the people of a nation are discussing the whole today's scenario. And if the like government, like higher authorities like government and the private institutions, if they are regulating it, then the people will not receive the perfect scenario and what is the reality. They will get a wrong perception about the whole reality of the today's scenario. And secondly, you have said for the children education system. In this, the students are the future for the nation. They should get to know the every bit of knowledge that the whole elderly and higher authorities are holding. We should be It should be free for all, as there's a fundamental right of every individual to get freedom of speech and the right to be informed. So in my opinion, the students are likely to get the most knowledge which are accessible to all. Thank you.
No, is
Anything
the
further?
time money left?
No, there isn't
Ma'am,
any time left. In fact, to exceed
oh,
1 minute.
okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
ma'am.
thank you so much, Aditya and Aman. So our fifth team is Pranjal J speaking for the motion and Nishita Rai speaking against the motion. Am I audible?
Okay, just a second. Everyone is requested to kindly switch off their mic and camera if one is speaking. Thank you.
Yeah. So can I start?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So good morning to the host and the uh, committee and all the people who are watching us live on YouTube. My name is Pranjal Jain, and I'm going to speak in the favor of the motion that should cyberspace be regulated. So first thing we should discuss is internet. Internet is not a physical or tangible entity, but it's rather a giant network which interconnect enormous amount of small groups linked computer networks. There has been a rapid increase in the number of usage of online environment where millions of users have access to the internet resources. The computer networking have been very helpful for the business of all types. It should not be only the physical deliveries which should be involved, but also the information products such as music, photographs, novels, motion pictures, multimedia, works, softwares, etc. And if we discuss further, so the economic, creative, and other interactions are also possible due to the online expansion of the um, involving internet. Now, if we further proceed, the communication and rules are very important for for a country to regulate its laws. But similarly, some laws are also important for the regulation of our cyber network. if we see the social norms which are being guides one behavior as a function of secondary regulatory constraint. The third constraint can be market, which regulates the price mechanism according to which a person can work. Every technological revolution brings a new stage, and due to the innovations in a technology, there are some legal issues and legal problems which should be addressed. The real purpose of this debate is like, should it be regulated or not? So I would like to put a light on few points due to which I think it should be regulated. The most visible and sensible issue is the child of the pornography or the adult content which should not be there on many sites. The child pornography is also a major issue. With the innovations of new technology, the media has also bring a new possibility where the people brings the facts and figures and post it on internet without seeing that it is truthful or not. While if we see the media houses, they have their proper editors which check on the facts and see the facts are truthful or not. While if we see on internet, there are many fake things which are being circulated. Now secondly, we can see the harmful, like our personal information can be on stake. With increasing technology, individuals personal information is on stake. For example, if we take a recent example of Domino's case, where the Domino's, some hacker has put all the Domino's customer data on internet, including their personal information such as their mobile numbers, a credit card. And another point we can take across, encryption is a process in which converting message or document into a form in which a hidden content. So we need proper software to decode it, like, and no one can read it. But to put this software publicly so that everyone can use it, can't it be harmful? I think the proper regulation should be there to regulate these things, as there can be another concern of money laundering. The people do heinous crimes like these in a simple way, because on internet there can be multiple identities of a single person or single identity of a multiple person. So we cannot constrain that this identity is of that person, or that person cannot have multiple identities. Now how to regulate this? Yeah, to regulate this, we need to make a private body to achieve these goals, which could not get directly in the touch with government, but it should be a free body so that it should have no constitutional pressure on it. It can work on its own. According to me, an attempt should be made to extend a project of the property rights too. Technology should control the system. Cyberspace is very important to be controlled. Thank you. So now I'm open for interjections.
Okay, so I would like to ask you that you mentioned that an independent body should take care of it, as they won't have any constitutional pressure. Firstly, I would like to give you an example of ISU, which was an independent body which used to manage a sport called ice skating. They were bribed by Russia, and all the Russians have been winning the Olympic of 2018, 2014, because of the very reason. On what basis are you saying that an individual body and association cannot be bribed, and that they will have no pressure? I would like to
Okay,
know
so
that.
yeah. So actually, the point I was trying to say is that there should be an individual body which should consider, like, a separate police team should be made, a separate organization should be made, and they should be paid well off so that they does not need to be bribed. And if people are trying to bribe them, for example, in a constitution, we have our law and government, then we have our judicial custody where courts come in place. So courts keep a check on the government keep a check on the court. So likewise, we should also keep make a third body. I meant to say that, like,
Okay,
it should be checked by other bodies also, but there should be no external pressure. That, for example, if we take a recent case in which Facebook has given its complete data to for the Donald Trump's, that case which has come across, Trump has used it for his publicity. So that should not happen, that government, due to government pressure or anything, that the public data is being used.
Is there more time?
No, 1 minute is up.
Okay.
All right.
So then I'd like to start with my speech, if that's okay.
Yeah, please start.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. I'm Nishita Rai, and today I would like to light my views opposing the motion on the floor. Should cyberspace be regulated? Firstly, I would like to mention that cyberspace was designed to be nobody's domain like outer space and made to be incapable of private appropriation. To change that would be like to go against the very ideology of cyberspace, which is open space to freely put forward one's thoughts and ideas. My first constructive is that anonymity, which seems to be a source of great anxiety, is actually necessity, as with the internet anonymity in place, people can go online and express themselves without fear. People are free to openly discuss their feelings without the judgment of the people they know, because it protects both the person and the message. And the protection is done by creating a wall between what's said and who said it, which causes other people to discuss and talk about the content given by the person rather than the person themselves. Anonymity is the very essence of freedom of speech, which Article 19.1 in our Constitution talks about, which is unfortunately often ignored when it comes to cyberspace. Moving ahead, my second constructive is that the proposition bench would majorly argue that the nation's first security is first and foremost. The terrorist exchange and spread information using internet. There is pornographic material available, hence internet should be regulated. I would like to bring it to your notice that all these acts that you talked about happen on the dark web, and the dark web constitutes of 3 to 5% of the internet that isn't accessible by normal search engines, requires specific software configuration and authorization to access. Now, to regulate the rest 97% of the cyberspace, which includes internet and more, in the name of stopping terrorism would just be an hoax and an attempt to invade privacy of people. Also, to fight terrorism, regulating the web won't be enough, as without the wide access of internet came into being, major terrorist attack took place. The 9/11 attack, for example, had minimal to no involvement of internet, hence proving that many other methods of communicating and sharing information among terrorist organizations exist. My third constructive is that the word regulation can be easily used by respective authorities and nations to fool their citizens and get into common public's personal data and use it to their advantage and manipulate data to make themselves look better. Here, the example of North Korea's intranet structure comes into play. They started out in the name of regulations and filtered data that they thought was anti-nationalist. They termed any sort of criticism as hate speech, and only praises of nations were allowed to be on internet. For the whole world to go through something similar for the sake of nation's pride and security would take away the basis of internet, which is fair discussion and expression. Lastly, I would like to shed a light on the fact that the privacy of people should be a priority, and it's the very thing we are trying to protect. And for the little to no privacy we have to be taken away from us under any context shows the incapability of nation to remove actual problems in the right way. I would like to end my speech with emphasis on the point that data regulation would simply cause the whole internet to collapse, and the very idea of cyberspace, a platform safekeeping the privacy of people and promoting free speech, would be snatched away. Thank you. Are there any interjections on the floor?
Yeah, so in your speech you said that anonymity is very important for the people, and people, like you said, that government can keep a check on their all the data and that all thing. So I would like to ask you that you are saying that anonymity is important. I agree, but don't you think if the people are completely anonymous, so there can be many a crime rate would be increased, because there are many people who can do crime and run away because of that?
Firstly, I did not mention anything related to government governing. So the second thing that you mentioned, and about you mentioned saying that anonymity is actually going to cause people to do anything and run away with it. I was talking about expressing yourself online anonymously. I mentioned in another point that most of the crimes happen by the 3% of the net that's there. That's called dark web. And there have been attempts to regulate it. It does not work. You should just cut it off. Regulating at any point in this conversation is illogical, it's impractical. So I believe that would be the answer to your question, that anonymously expressing yourself won't be a harm, and it actually helps you to open up and talk about yourself and like about your problems and issues or whatever you wish to talk about. And it's also it also promotes freedom of speech, so you're just like free to express yourself.
All right, I'm done. No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Pranjal and Nishita. So our sixth team is Jayashree Biswal speaking for the motion and Dipanshu speaking against the motion.
Ma'am, I need to ask one thing.
Yeah, please.
Can you join from another system, because this system has a low battery and I don't have a charger?
Yeah.
Can I join from another system?
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Jayashree and Dipanshu, am I audible? Miss, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, then please start.
So, hello everyone. My name is Jayashree Biswal, and today I will talk for the motion: should cyberspace be regulated? So basically, first of all, in easy words, I would like to put that what is cyberspace? Cyberspace is generally something in any app or website which have user base or interface designed for it. It can be a social media platform. It can be a gaming online gaming platform. It can be buying and selling websites. It can be anything where people interact with each other and for different purposes. So basically, now I will say, when now we know that internet has become a very big part of our lives, and how it impacts us deeply. As technology advances, more and more people rely on internet, and therefore and also share this sensitive information on internet, like banking cards, credit cards information. And then there are some criminals who increasingly use tactics to steal the information and harm the users in some way. And therefore, we have lots of cyber crimes are happening around the world, like cyber stalking, cyber terrorism, cyber warfare, fake news sharing, and privacy or theft. Now, in today's world, so basically, there is a very serious concern, which is the root of all the cyber problems, which is data. So I'll talk about data stealing and data mining first. So here we might be thinking that when 2020 India banned around 59 Chinese apps, there were lots of people who were against this. They were like, why they are banning apps? Like, just what is this data stealing? What data they might be stealing? Everything is secure in a phone. Some people were asking such kind of questions. So here comes the act of data mining, the play of data mining. So basically, what in today's world, data is a very valuable asset in digital world. Uh, Data can literally be used to change the way of people think. I will give a very small scenario which happened in 2016 when Trump won the elections of 2017. There is this company called Cambridge Analytica who was promoting the campaign of Trump for his presidential election. So they were stealing this information from Facebook, and they had around 5,000 data points of every American, and they use this information and data to impact or say influence or manipulate the minds of the internet users. So basically, how they did it, a little I will tell you about it. They, for example, when we're scrolling on internet, we always have we're scrolling on internet. There are lots of recommendations we get on our feed, on our Instagram or YouTube. So basically, they will put the done. They will put the advertisements and they will try to manipulate the minds, and this is how they were literally changing the mind of the people. Ma'am, have 3 minutes ended?
Yes, yes, it has.
Okay, ma'am.
1 minute for interjection, guys.
So, Jayashree, I had a question that don't you think that regulating the cyberspace will ultimately violate the right to privacy as someone is keeping an eye on our own all movements?
So what you said that keeping the regulating the cyberspace can be concern for the user's privacy, which is true. But I would say that regulation is important because there are not only the privacy concern, there are different kind of problems that are also attached to it. For example, there like data stealing. I have talked about it. There are lots of kids and young minds who literally use can be victim of dark web, and these kind of crimes should be stopped. They are more dangerous and should be stopped. I think that's why the regulation is more important according to me.
I am talking about the right to privacy, which is included in the every democratic country. The right to privacy, which is it is
Well, I think
violated.
I agree with you. The right to privacy is important, but I would say that if the government is in when the when it comes to space regulation, there might be some loopholes if the companies can come with, and they may provide us some solutions that we can also have, like WhatsApp have done encryption to inscription, where we have our privacy as well as, and the information is also safe, and they also have control on the other attacks or crimes also. Kind of thing. That's it. Thank you.
Shall I start now?
Yeah, please proceed.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dipanshu, and I'm here to speak on against the notion should cyberspace needs to be regulated. So, keeping an eye on the cyberspace is just like keeping an eye on the personal space of the people, and it also violates the basic rights of privacy, which is included in every democratic country. Once the regulation came into the country, people lives, their minds will be controlled, and every movement will be tracked. So we can see the live examples of the regulations that are already amended in the countries like the China and North Korea. The people living in those countries don't know what is happening outside their country. Even their cyberspace is regulated. people see, what the governments want to see them, show them, and they do not know anything about outside world. Even the basic apps like the Gmail, WhatsApp, and Facebook is banned there. And their clone apps are prevailing in the environment, and which is completely being regulated by the government. In a recent case, a Chinese girl which has been gone for studies in the UK had just came back to his country, China, where she used VPN just to check his homework on the Gmail. The police has arrested her immediately and she has been sent to the 10 years of imprisonment for just using the VPN. Do you think that is right? For me, the government must be, for me, the regulation must be limited to the financial systems and the crucial military operations. And also the dark webs, which has been criticized a lot, has been helping people in many different situations. As if the government has restricted people to protest, so the people can raise the voice there because they can talk to each other anonymously. If dark web will be regulated, there will not be any platform which would be left so that people could present their views. So thank you for listening me patiently. If there any doubt, you can ask me.
You still have 1 minute for your constructive speech. Would you like to continue?
No, no.
All right, the 1 minute for interjection has started.
Dipanshu, you have talked about the privacy concern, which is understandable, but you know the cyber crimes are more dangerous and which are spread all around the globe, and it is affecting lots of life, millions of life around the people. So, well, according to you, shouldn't we more focus on the regulation of the cyberspace? I know privacy is important, but what could be? Don't you think that important?
I think that mostly the cyber crimes which are being reported, 90% of them were the financial, were the crimes related to the financial systems. I told you that the regulation must be limited to the financial systems and the crucial military operations. Otherwise, it is not needed, as there are very less crimes which are committed other than the financial scams.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Jayashri and Dipanshu.
Our next team is Shubham speaking for the motion and Rahul speaking against the motion.
Am I audible?
Yes, Shubham.
Can I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning to one and all present here. My name is Shubham, and I am with the motion of the topics should cyberspace be regulated? As we know that cyberspace is a virtual computer world. It's a large computer network to facilitate the online communication. Cyberspace core feature is an interactive and virtual environment for a broad range of participants. Let's came into practical thing that why I think that cyberspace should be regulated. The main reason why I am in the favor of the motion is because of cybercrime.
Shubham, you're not audible.
Am I not audible?
Yeah, now
Yes,
you're
you are
audible.
audible.
And should I start from starting onward?
No, you can continue.
Okay. So in India, every year we register more than 50,000 cases regarding cybercrime, and most of these frauds are done on some unknown websites or apps from China or America. Uh, there are many terrorism activities are also planned on internet, especially on WhatsApp, because it's an end-to-end encrypted medium of communication. So I believe that government should regulate the cyberspace and make some rules and regulation according to that. Cyberspace is regulated in four sorts. First one is law. Law means rules and regulations. Second one is social norms, which includes providing appropriate information and content. Third one is market and code, which means you have the setup to manage and track the source of property. In the same manner, every country regulate the cyberspace, and I believe the Indian government will also do the same. And in the conclusion, the internet is a dynamic or ever evolving work in progress. What is now work today may be past tomorrow. Uh, I believe a special team should be made and strong rules and regulations should be made to control the cybercrime. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, Shubham, you don't think that if government will regulate the cyberspace, so there are
Okay.
might be chances that government might use our data. So I think our private privacy will sacrifice, or or maybe the government will provide only those information which are in favor of their political parties.
I'm agree with you, but I believe that the government is much more secure than the unknown apps or websites. It's better that government regulate it instead of some unknown people or some unknown government, some unknown personality. Are you
15
done?
seconds left for interjection.
I have no more questions to ask.
Three,
That's
two,
totally fine. Raul, do you want to
So,
start?
ma'am, yeah, ma'am, may I start?
Yeah, please start.
Yeah, so good afternoon to one and all present here. My name is Rahul Dingra, and today I am speaking against the motion of the topic. Should cyberspace be regulated? So, friends, basically, first I will tell that what is cyberspace. Basically, cyberspace refers to the virtual computer world, and more specifically, it is an electronic medium which is used to form a global computer network to facilitate the online communication. So, friends, basically, I think regulating cyberspace is just like looking or interfering in someone's own matter. I think it is just like putting restrictions and peeping in what a person is doing in this the world of the internet, and all the activities which a person is doing. If they are regulated, I think it will be governed, and all our private information and all the essential information will be in the hand of the government. So also, if there will be control in the cyberspace, we also not have that much freedom to access internet freely, as we see in the case of China. And there are so much regulations and restrictions there, and there all the necessary and essential apps like Google, Twitter, Facebook, Play stores are banned, and they have their own apps like Baidu for Google, Vivo, I think for Twitter, and WeChat for Facebook. So also we see that there are so much restrictions that whatever they access in the internet and they perform, their activities are regulated by the Chinese government, and the government has full control over them. Also, whatever is happening in China, that information will not go outside their country, and also Chinese also don't know that what is happening they, uh, outside them. So, friends, I think it's a major drawback of if cyberspace is regulated. Also, friends, we see USA is the country which has the strongest laws for rules for cyberspace. But friends, still every year we see that the government registered there more than 15 lakh complaints for cybercrime. And friends, we see that the same situation is in China and Russia also. So, friends, how we can say that if the government will regulate the cyber space, it will help to control the cybercrime. So, friends, according to me, there should be restrictions for the in cyberspace for the financial issues and the information related to government, which are secret, which are danger if they come out. But I think there should not be restrictions on any other mediums, like the news and media communications and etc. So, friend, thank you for being a patient listener. Any question for interjection?
Yes. So Rahul, as per you, government should not regulate cyberspace. Then how the cybercrime should be controlled?
Yes, Shubham. I think that the government, if the government will regulate the cyberspace, as we see that the case of the USA also and China, that there are so much strong restrictions, but then also the cases of cyberspace are cyber crimes are coming. So Shubham, I'm not saying that there should be not complete restriction. Sorry, I think it must be regulated, but for the for the financial activities like what we are transacting, and for the government secret issues, not for everything, I think.
1 minute.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
1 minute is done, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Satisfied with the answer.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next team is Himanshu Kumar speaking for the motion and Lakshya Kaushik speaking against the motion. Himanshu and Lakshya, I hope I'm audible to you people.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you may proceed.
Hello, am I audible and visible?
Yes, Himanshu, you are. Now you are not audible, Himanshu.
Himanshu, actually, you're mute.
You are not audible, sorry.
Himanshu.
Himanshu, please unmute your mic.
Himanshu?
Himanshu, you are on mute.
Himanshu, actually, you're on mute. Could you please unmute yourself? You're not audible.
Himanshu, you're not audible if you're listening to us. Is he still speaking or what?
I don't think he can hear us even.
Maybe. Next, Lakshya, go. Okay. So, Lakshya, till then, please, you proceed. Ask him to
Okay.
repeat.
Okay.
Next
So,
team,
just
wait,
give me a second.
Lakshya.
I'll put
Just sorry to interrupt. Actually, अभी हिमांशु की आवाज नहीं आ रही, so we will. लेकिन हम आपकी टीम का बाद मिलेंगे. Fine for you?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so our next team is Riya speaking for the motion and Mohammed Amar speaking for against the motion.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I am audible.
Yes, Riya, you are audible.
Okay. Okay, I am visible as well now.
Yes, Riya.
Okay. So can I start?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so vigilant and effective antitrust enforcement today is preferable to the heavy hand of government regulation of the internet tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. Ria is going to speak for the motion of the debate today, that is, should cyberspace be regulated? The internet is a means of effective social interaction that is inevitably altered human life. It is the new normal. Its utility to humankind could not be overemphasized as much as its inherent peril could not be underestimated. Regulation in cyberspace is an emerging challenge. According to Professor Lawrence Lessig of Harvard Law School, the default in cyberspace is anonymity. Anonymity encourages and enhances the exercise of freedom. I agree that regulation in cyberspace is an emerging challenge. It is a complex and dynamic domain that is largely driven by business civilian sector, but it also has the potential to cause significant damage to the national security. While cyberspace is being governed by IT Act, cyber attacks are becoming more and more prominent day by day. One of the most common forms of attack is social media extortion. Other forms of cyber attack include lottery frauds, movie privacy, unethical hacking, etc. Cyberspace spans worldwide, but it has no formal framework. But it has no definite means and bounds. That is why I say cyberspace should be regulated. At last, I would like to conclude and say that cyberspace regulation is the need of the hour. It is truly necessary that more attention is paid to the regulation of cyberspace today, as cyber crimes are currently growing at a rapid rate and evolving as new technology arrives. Thank you for letting me present my views. I'm open for any interjections.
Okay, shall I ask? Shall I
Yeah,
interject?
yeah.
Okay, so Ria, you talked about frauds. Don't you think that when the cyberspace will be regulated, it can lead to more frauds or impersonation or maybe identity thefts?
Why should it lead to more identity thefts if it is being regulated?
Well, yeah, well, then the personal information of the users will be more open to people who are regulating this, and then it can be used for crimes like frauds and impersonation.
Okay, so yeah, I mentioned my point of anonymity as you heard in my speech. I agreed that there is anonymity and you need to stay anonymous for presenting your views. But don't you think by anonymity, more crimes are increasing day by day?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, that is why I say it should be regulated.
Yeah, no more interjections.
Thank you.
Shall I start?
Yeah, please.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Muhammad Amash, and I'm putting forward my views on regulating cyberspace. So, cyber ethics is the philosophic study of ethics pertaining to computers, encompassing user behavior and what computers are programmed to do, and how this affects individuals and society. The right to privacy is very important for the functional code of cyber ethics. Such moral responsibilities go hand in hand when working online with global networks, specifically when opinions are involved with online social experiences. Cyberspace is defined more by the social interactions involved rather than its technical implementation. This computational medium in cyberspace is the core characteristic of cyberspace is that it offers an environment that consists of many participants with the ability to affect and influence each other. This concept is derived from the observation that people seek richness, complexity, and depth within a virtual world. Now, regulating cyberspace may be seen as a breach in privacy by the users. Privacy is central to dignity, individuality, and personhood. Privacy is also indispensable to a sense of autonomy, to a feeling that there is an area of an individual's life that is totally under his or her control, an area that is free from outside intrusion. The deprivation of privacy can even endanger a person's health. Privacy can be decomposed to the limitation of others' access to an individual with three elements of secrecy, anonymity, and solitude. Anonymity refers to the person's right to protection from undesired attention. Solitude refers to the lack of physical proximity of an individual to others. Secrecy refers to the protection of personalized information from being freely distributed. Individuals surrender private information when conducting transactions and registering for services. Credit card information, social security numbers, phone numbers, mothers' maiden names, addresses are freely collected, shared in the cyberspace will be seen as a threat, or an invitation to frauds or impersonation or identity theft. Thank you. That's it. Now I leave the floor open for interjection.
Okay, so I would like to ask something. As of the recent issue wherein Facebook data breached, a data loss of 1.5 billion individual was leaked on the dark web. How can you say that regulation isn't necessary when such things are happening?
Well, Ria, if you had looked closely into the matter, the data leak was a result of cyberspace regulation. They were trying to make more modifications in that particular network, and that's why the data was leaked. So that's why I'm saying cyberspace regulation is should if it's done, it should be done very carefully and under proper people guidance.
Okay, so now you are saying that it should be regulated, right?
I'm
You
not.
just
I'm
said
not.
that, right?
I'm
You said that it
no.
can be regulated under strict conditions. I
Data
understand
leaks.
that.
The data
Okay, so if I go to your speech, I would like to ask that
One minute.
you are okay, okay.
Okay, so our next team is Kanishka Goyal speaking for the motion and Pushpalata M speaking against the motion.
Yes, I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, Kanishka.
Okay. Good afternoon to all. I'm Kanishka Goyal and I'm going to speak in motion should cyberspace be regulated. The internet and effective means of social interaction that inevitably altered human life is the new normal. Cyberspace refers to virtual computer world and more especially is an electronic medium used to form a global computer network to facilitate online communication. And it is a large computer network made up of many worldwide computer network uh, that employ TRP protocol to aid in communication and data exchange activities. And why do we need to regulate cyberspace? Cyberspace spans worldwide, but it has no formal framework. It has no definite meters and bound expect the capacity of the hardware used for access. And lack of formal framework makes cyberspace nobody's domain. And in normal law, cyberspace may be considered it is incapable of private appropriation just like outer space. And regulation in cyberspace is an emerging challenge according and the default in cyberspace is anonymity and which enhances and encourages the exercise of freedom. And a child too shy to express himself in the physical space to be somebody else in virtual space and express himself freely. Now, the internet is a dynamic or ever evolving work in process, and today may be past tomorrow. Such dynamism characterizes the architecture of cyberspace. Thus, it is indeed difficult to the government.
Kanishka, you're not audible. Maybe there is some network issue.
That the government cyberspace and the influences of the regulation would be on the conduct of the user and its consequence effect. Now I am open for interjection.
Oh, can I go ahead?
Yes, you
Yes.
can.
One minute for interjection is started.
Sorry.
1 minute for interjection has started.
Yes. I would like to ask the speaker that how exactly like can you regulate a dynamic and ever evolving process? Is it
Sorry, can
possible
you repeat?
is it possible to regulate and dynamic, as you mentioned, it's a dynamic and ever evolving process. Is it possible to regulate it?
Yeah, the government should make rule to regulate that cyberspace.
But how effective that can be, because just by regulating hardware, can it make cyberspace safe for all?
So there should be make rules for to regulate, no? So nobody will misuse our information.
There are many rules already present, so why exactly there are still crimes going on? There shouldn't be another alternative way to combat all this.
Now we all know that there is use and misuse of all the things.
1 minute is up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, am I visible?
Yes, Pushpalata, you are.
Okay. So good afternoon to everyone present here. I am Pushpalata, opposition speaker for the motion. The cyberspace has no real connection with the real space, as we all know, and most of the speaker told. Out of many serious challenges faced while using cyberspace, one of the most important among them is anonymity. Our user's digital identity has no connection with the physical world identity. This is one of the most challenges faced in all the cyber law or by extending the application of existing criminal laws. But no state has the power or legitimacy to make laws for an area which does not have any physical or geographical boundary. Along with the protection of data and innovation, which is key driver for human development, one should never forget that it needs to be balanced against a human's fundamental rights, that is right for privacy, dignity, and security. Diving deep into regulation of cyberspace means more violation of freedom of expression and opinion, and absence of physical boundaries in cyberspace may lead to situation where basis of morality and culture and regulations will be shaken in the society, because one society of morals and regulations will not be same for the another society. For example, I have to give one: trading of an obscene materials within the cyberspace is punishable under IPC section 292 and 293. But these sections again seem helpless because the special natures of the internet, that is the anonymity and no geographical boundaries. The traditional law cannot be dealt with new challenges. In fact, this is one of the biggest misconception people have with the use of cyber architecture. We can just know from the IPS address, we can just know what exactly. We cannot know the user, but because he'll be in some internet cafe or something. So with the use of and this is the case of all the cyber crimes like hacking and malware attacks, because no one will know who the criminal even after so many having so many laws. Due to this internet transactions have meaningless and impossible to enforce. Everyone has mentioned about why the cyberspace should not be regulated, but what else can be done for this? The one best way is tackle all this is by self-regulation. It can contribute to more effective and more efficient realization of both economic and societal goals. So self-regulation not only supports the open and decentralized network architecture, but it also removes the third-party interference in this, and it gives offering social responsibility account and basic rights such as freedom of speech and information for all. Thank you. I'm open for interjections. If you have, just go on.
1 minute for interjection.
Okay. You don't think cybercrime is increasing and we should regulate it?
Of course, it can be regulated, but there are many laws already for regulating the cyberspace. But As I mentioned in my speech, that nothing is able to find the root cause of the solution of the cyber crimes. Anyway, even after having so many laws, we'll not know what the criminals are behind the cyber crimes. And as I mentioned again, to highlight on it, self-regulation can be one of the best and effective way to combat all of this.
You said self-regulating. So how should we self-regulate it?
Self-regulation as in it can be done from simple ways and to a legal framework as well. To start with, to give you one small example, like parent many softwares come with inbuilt security options like reporting and blocking of things. Parent can take over all this for security of their child. We have so many options, we just have to make use of them effectively instead of getting more and more new laws which is meaningless again.
Okay.
Any more questions?
1 minute is done, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so earlier, due to some reasons, Himanshu Kumar couldn't speak. Now, I would like to request Himanshu Kumar speaking for the motion and Lakshya Kaushik speaking against the motion.
So am I audible?
Yes, Himanshu, now you are audible.
Okay, I may start now. Respected judges, organizers, and fellow participants, I, Himanshu Kumar, am present here amongst you all, not physically, but by the virtue of cyberspace that connects all of us, to debate in the favor of the topic, should cyberspace be regulated? It is but obvious that life as we live today is a fusion of both physical and cyberspace. And it goes without saying that just like there are certain rules and regulations out there in the physical world, there is a need to regulate cyberspace to ensure its ethical usage. Increase in the development in this area also increases the vulnerability to misuse if not properly regulated. The increase in cybercrimes rates of the past few years serves as a proof for this state. These crimes can range from online blackmailing, hacking, data theft, cyber stalking, and misuse of media to online scams and robbery, child pornography, cyber hijacking, miseducation, and nationwide cyber attacks targeting military databases and nuclear fusion systems. The list will go on, and it only implies the dire need of cyberspace regulation, the advancement in cybersecurity. There are many solutions to cyber safety one can use at an individual level, such as firewalls, anti malware, digital signature, encryption of sensitive records, security audit, cyber forensics, and at national level comes into play various cyber laws and policies, indigenous informational infrastructures, indigenous technology, and tested products. As the need of new era, more research should be made in cyber safety and real life problems seen through a lens of algorithms and interpretations for optimized method. In conclusion to all this, I would like to say that cyberspace regulation is not just an option but a necessity of today. Thank you for listening to my views patiently. Now I would like to allow my partner to put forward his.
Okay, so Himanshu, my first question towards your motion is that, as you mentioned, that yes, there is a need for regulation and there is a need for regulation on various media platforms. So, how exactly will governments, make the tech giants and big companies and the internet service providers to comply with all these regulation? As we have seen many cases in before that even orders were denied by certain tech giants who shall I not name here. So, what is your take on that?
There is a need of development at district or indigenous level, the need of development of indigenous technologies and infrastructures. By that way, the government will self-efficiently provide the technology required for the cyber safety, and it won't really have to in vague language, beg the tech giants in the matter of the security of cyber security of the nation. Are you
1 minute.
satisfied, or is it
1 minute is over.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So I will start with my speech here. All right, so very good afternoon to one and all present here. The motion before the House today is, should cyberspace be regulated? And my name is Lakshya Kaushik, and I'll be speaking against the motion. So, as many of you have defined the motion already, I'll just give a quick interpretation of my motion. Cyberspace meaning a concept describing a widespread interconnected digital technology. What does that mean? All websites, all social media, everything, all blogs, vlogs, everything that is connected on the data or that is present on the internet is comprised of cyberspace. And regulation regulated means that controlling something by the means of rules, regulations, guidelines, and certain acts. So what the motion states here is that the cyberspace, this interconnected widespread of technology, data, and information should be, placed barriers should be placed on them by the means of regulation in the names of regulations and rules. So let me start with my arguments here. As we all know, that data and information is a very, very big thing now, and everything is, constituted of that. Did you also know that AI, the artificial technology, was a thing back then, but it was denied because there was no data. But today we have an abundance of data, and AI is a data abundant software. Now, if you place a regulation on that, what's to say our privacy? What's to say our user data is not, tapped into? Because that is the next big thing. Because there are already cyber laws, already a cyber cell that is there. But if you are trying to place regulation or place a control over something, you will need to take it a step further. And now you might raise a concern, but how is that a problem? Because it is ensuring a safety. But no, that is where corporate espionage and these things come from. I earlier heard someone said something about business internet ethics. What's to say that the person watching over that, they have their ethics clear, they do not leak that data, or some other company try to access that data. Secondly, the compliance point that I already mentioned in the question. How will you get the tech giants, the internet service provider, the big companies like Facebook's to comply in there? Because when we talk about cyber regulation, we all obviously talk about a country regulating its own space, because we cannot go further than that. So how will you that? How will you ask big companies that are investing their capital, that are introducing capital to your country, to comply with their rules? Because they already have their measures to function properly. They already have their thing. They are trying to make profit. How will you ask them? Because there was a case in Brazil where court ordered Facebook to show some chats. They did not comply. Even the vice chairman was arrested in there, but they did not comply, because that is how they function. So I think my 3 minutes are over here.
3 minutes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm open for any interjections.
So when the data is not regulated, it will flow unrestricted. So don't you think that privacy will become a joke then? Like even the core military database will be available across the web.
But you contradict yourself by that question, because when there is place a control over something, that is exactly the concern there, because privacy will not be in question there. Everything will be. And when you talk about military data and everything, don't you think that's already regulated? There is because government already have measures to protect that kind of data. You are talking about whole of cyberspace here, which includes certain rights. You lose freedom of speech here when you place regulations here. And also you talked about pornography, child pornography. Don't you think that's already illegal? How
1 minute, sir.
placing yeah, thank you. I'd like
We
to
are
go
talking about, yeah.
1 minute is over.
Thank you so much. So our next team is Utkarsh Shukla speaking for the motion and Devansh Gulati speaking against the motion.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please start.
Can I start?
Yeah.
Am I visible?
Yes, you're visible.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, I'm Utkarsh, and I'll be speaking for the motion. So there is a documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, in which different ex-personas from different big gun companies like Facebook, Google, Microsoft unfold the dark side of the cyberspace that we have today. They continue on to expose how these companies collect
Utkarsh,
and sell
wait.
data, which
Mr. Utkarsh, so sorry to interrupt. Actually,
yes,
you're not
ma'am.
you're not visible. It's blank.
Hold on, I will just check. Am I visible now?
Yeah, yes, now you're visible.
Can I start over?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Hello, I'm Utkarsh, and I'll be speaking for the motion. So there is a documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, in which different ex-personals from different big gun companies like Facebook, Google, Microsoft unfold the dark side of the cyberspace that we have today. They continue on to expose how these companies collect and sell data, which often on is embezzled and used for the horrendous purposes, which we all are very well aware of. A very recent happening I would like to tell you all about was coined as the Facebook Papers, in which none other than but a former employee of Facebook itself, Frances Haugen, turned a whistleblower and exposed the calamitous side of the tech giant. The gist of her speech during a press report is that Facebook is harmful for children, it stokes division, and diminishes the very essence of democracy. This is just a meager example of the horrors of social media platforms that we have today and how they have continued to swindle the common public. We all hear it now and every now and then in the news or in the newspaper or on the TV. One more very infamous case of the repercussion of a non-modulated cyberspace is the dark web, a rather atrocious side of the internet which is used by criminals to traffic drugs, child profanity, and exchange of illegal money and whatnot. Another condescending example of tech is artificial intelligence, AI. Although AI has advanced technology at an incredible rate, but however, if in the wrong hands, AI can be a destructive weapon. The real danger of AI is the rise of a sentient algorithm like the very popular Skynet, taking over all of the world. This is a rather ignored but legitimate issue. One other setback of AI I would like to talk about is quote unquote deep fakes. Originating from the technical term deep learning, a technology capable of producing realistic fake images and also videos. It is used to spread fake news and agendas, sometimes which lead to mass disturbance in our society. And the concept of deep fake itself defies the idea of privacy, like my friend speaking in Against the Motion talked about. In the case of deepfakes, it's impossible for a casual observer to know whether a particular video or image is real or fake, thus define the complete essence of the internet to gain knowledge, to have privacy, and to serve freely. So these were the few points due to which I believe cyberspace should be regulated. Thank you.
1 minute for interjection, guys.
So, as you said, that regulation of cyberspace is very important and keen. But don't you think that cyberspace regulation is very dynamic and challenging? And how can we regulate cyberspace when it's a really expensive process?
Yes, but it is expensive. But if we do not regulate, then we are sacrificing many things. Like we'll be sacrificing on the dark web. Like the 97% of the internet is not accessible by the common public, and it is open to all. And the criminals use it for illegal purposes. So if we do not regulate even that, then many innocent lives can be lost, and human trafficking and child trafficking is very common nowadays, and that is
But don't you
accessible and
think that's
possible
still
only
happening?
through dark web.
Don't you think that's still
Yes,
happening?
please.
Recently, the data of Facebook was leaked, and over of 1.5 million people were individual data of 1.5 million people were open in the dark web, and anyone can download it in the internet.
Yes, so that's see, you yourself said that the Facebook data was leaked. So that is the reason that these all things should be now regulated. There's a difference between regulation and restriction. What the Chinese government has done is restriction, but there should be a regulation on over all these things so that they can be played on a safer side. That's my point.
So how can you?
Yeah.
Is my time over of interjection?
Yes, 1 minute is up.
Okay, so shall I start with my speech? So, one vulnerability is all an attacker needs. Security is not a remedy, awareness is. Good morning, everyone. I, Devansh, is going to speak against why should cyberspace be regulated. I'm honored to have the opportunity to address the major issues with regulation of cyberspace. Cyber libertarians advocates a free and unfettered cyberspace unencumbered by regulation. Despite this idealized view, nations around the world are asserting their rights to enforce individual regimes of content regulation. As we know, cyberspace is a really dynamic and it is a virtual reality with no geographical boundaries. Universal agreement on internet content is almost impossible to obtain. So, some basic ethical issues on the use of cyberspace consist of personal privacy, data access rights, and harmful actions on the internet. Common threats that can be of cyber attacks is like computer viruses, data breach, and denial of service attacks. So, to regulate the cyberspace, the major problems that are multiple jurisdiction because of anonymity of the internet user, absence of geographical boundaries in cyberspace, and cross-border effects of internet transaction. All legal system face legal uncertainties. Due to this, internet enforce is really impossible to take over. And as I mentioned before, the uh, the the regulation of cyberspace is a really expensive process. As we know that many companies like Facebook and others also try to regulate the process, but there are lack of finance faced by the investigators, training of law enforcement officers to solve the issue of cyber crimes is very expensive. And once they are trained, they need to be refreshed with the knowledge tune with the technological advancements. Besides this, obtaining digital evidence is also really difficult. Not only can incriminating clues be hidden, encrypted, and virus laden, but they are also being shown anywhere in the world. So, at last, we can conclude that strict regulations are not necessarily needed in the world of cyberspace because if there is a vulnerability, it can be exploited. Everything is vulnerable in some way. Humans trust even when they shouldn't, and innovation comes with the opportunity of exploitation. And that brings us to the end. Thank you all for letting me express my views on the topic. I'm open for any interjections.
Yes, so like you said in your speech about personal privacy and how it is very important. So, don't you think that not regulating cyberspace is at some point sacrificing on a personal privacy? Like, for example, I talked about deep fakes in my speech and how people make fake images and fake videos and spread to defame anybody. So, don't you think that is a breach of personal privacy? And
But
how,
don't you
if
think the
if we do not
regulation
regulate it, then how can we overcome that?
But don't you think that the organizations regulating it will use it? They can
No,
also
my
take
point
the
is that
advantage
anybody
of.
can use it, no? Yeah, so my point is due to lack of regulation, these kind of things are spread massively and they can defame anybody at any point of time. So that's why I say that it is very important to regulate.
But right now it's free for anyone. But if you regulate it, it could be in wrong hands. The political parties can use it to defame anyone, and also can take advantages of personal information.
Okay, so my other point of interjection is that
One
you
minute
said
is
you
done.
talked about cross. Okay, I guess we are over with the time. So
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Speaking against the motion. Am I audible, Arushi? Yeah, yes, you're visible.
Yes, you are. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, you're audible.
Am I audible?
It's Abhay Sharma with Arushi.
Yes, ma'am. My webcam is not working right now.
Okay, so Sia, could you please switch off your webcam, please? Thank you so much. Yeah, yes, Arushi, please start.
So, hello everyone. I am speaking for the motion. So, without further ado, let's start. So, it is easy today to lose sight of the fact that these tools have created wonderful things in life. Okay, they have reunited lost families. They have found donors. There were meaningful changes happening around us, isn't it? But I think we were naive about the flip side of the coin. Now let's talk about the flip side of the coin. Never before in history, design 50 designers made decisions that would impact around 4 billion people. 4 billion people will have thoughts that they never intend to have. Silicon Valley, um, from past 20 years in Silicon Valley, they have been selling, big tech companies have been selling users. If we are not buying the product, we are the product. The cyberspace trade exclusively in humans futures. Everything we do online is being watched, is being tracked, is being measured. They have more information about us than human history ever imagined. Now let's talk about some facts. Okay, there are two industries that call their customer users illegal drugs and software. You know, the number of suicide cases have rose up to 70% because now people are more anxious, fragile, depressed, and we believe that everything we watch online, we everyone is watching the same thing. No, it's more about the algorithms, and these algorithms are the opinions of few people embedded in code. The number of teenage girls out of 100,000 were admitted to hospital because they cut themselves, and apparently because they don't fit into a position, they don't fit into an image that society has created. Now let's talk about some world politics. You know about Myanmar. So what exactly happened in Myanmar is that Facebook gave the military and other bad actors a new way to manipulate public opinions and to help incite the violence against the Rohingya Muslims that led to mass killings, mass rapes. Villages were burned down. 7 lakh Rohingya Muslims having to flee the country where they were born and brought up. Now the crazy fact about the cyberspace is we can affect real world behavior and actions without even triggering the users awareness, and they're completely um, clueless about it. Now what the solution is, we need to tax these companies on data assets that they have. It gives them the physical data to not acquire every piece of data on the planet. We have almost no laws around digital privacy, which we should have. How do we wake up from matrix when we don't know that we are in one? And my last conclusion, in order to conclude this, what I'll say is that when tech exceeds and overwhelms human weakness, this line being crossed at the root of addiction, polarization, radicalization, outrage, expectation, and this is overpowering human nature, and this is a checkmate on humanity. Yeah, and I am open for interjections. 1 minute. Can I start it?
I have a question for you. Is that recently, United States of government has launched a policy in which the data you store in Apple iCloud, mostly Apple phones are used there. So
Yeah.
it will lead to the anything data you store that it will store in Apple iCloud. So don't you think it will a breachment of privacy of an individual?
How will it be a breach? I didn't get you. How will it be a breachment of privacy?
Suppose, let me tell you, whenever the government stores any data, it will lead to breachment. Any data you have seen in recent history, any type of data which a government has stored, it will lead to a breachment by attackers or hackers. So you don't you think that it is a main concern for privacy?
Don't you think that they already have data? They already have all the information they need because they already are controlling because you know about surveillance capitalism. They are already manipulating us. The technology is so persuasive that they're already manipulating us, and the government is already doing it. What I am saying is we need a virtual platform, we need a virtual law of conduct, we need more virtual courts so that these issues can be addressed virtually, because physically तो कोई laws या regulations बने नहीं है for these, क्योंकि physical actions हो रहे हैं. If I talk about just एक छोटा सा example, there are fake news, but there are fake news with consequences. अगर मैं virtually एक information spread कर रही हूँ, but उसके actions real life में हो रहे हैं, तो we need to address this. And how can we address this? By having those virtual platforms itself. Because even if it is happening in real world, real life, but issues are not being addressed.
Yeah, let's start now.
Yeah, yes, please.
So I am Sharma going to speak against the motion. So let me tell you that there are 4.66 active billion users on internet right now, and I think that it will lead to violating of privacy, as we don't have adequate technology or proper technology to regulate the factors. As you can see, the spectrum management in the 1920s and 1930s were different as compared to this scenario. The technology is rapidly increasing day by day, but not the regulating factors. So I think that the most important thing is we should focus on regulating factors. But now the government or not any media or any service aren't focused on any of them. So a final probe using a code as a regulator is that it closely tied to previous indicators. In a world where regulator schemes favor certain orders, text how you can regulate them. Technology are changing day by day, but the regulating factors aren't changing day by day. That's all from my side.
You yourself said that regular factors, like we need more regulations. So and privacy बहुत invade होती है. Don't you think कि privacy तो अभी भी invade हो रही है? And I think in some way we, like, our privacy is being invaded. And even the government and these big tech companies are using. So what they do is they don't sell data; they use data for themselves. So how don't we, like? Why do you think that there's no need for regulation? Because I didn't exactly get it from your speech.
Mm, as per my opinion, regulation is important. I know regulation is important, but इतनी रेगुलेशन लगा देना उस पे, फिर हर बंदे को एयर मूवमेंट पे ट्रैक करना, उसकी हर एक ट्रैक करना उस मूवमेंट, तो वो गलत सा ही होता है. यू गेटिंग?
But Abhay, we are already being tracked. We are already being measured. I'm not saying that we. I am saying we need to be regulated in a way because we need laws, and there should be some code of conduct in which we should. Because who are all are responsible for the deaths? Who are responsible for the rape cases? Who are responsible for the trafficking? Who are responsible for the mass chaos that happened? Not Facebook, not Instagram, not any social media site, not cyberspace. Who are all responsible? To whom should I go that this problem occurred and this problem happened? To whom should I go? Where should I go? So that's why I am saying that we need regulations, because I need a force. I need somebody to whom I should go to. I should look up to when there's crisis.
तो हमारे पास अभी टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी अच्छी नहीं कि हम कहाँ से रेगुलेट कर लेंगे इतना ज्यादा.
That's what I'm saying. What we can do is we can tax the companies
Cross
on the
interjection is not
data
allowed,
that they.
actually. Wait for a while. Actually, cross interjection is not allowed. So maybe now, okay?
I thought it is a debate, so like we can
No,
cross it.
no, it's not allowed. Okay, so thank you so much. Our next team is Sia Singh speaking for the motion and Sharan Chot Singh speaking against the motion.
Am I visible?
Yeah, yes, you are visible.
Am I audible, guys?
Yeah, yes, you're audible.
May I start?
Yeah, please.
Robert Mueller once said, there are only two types of company, those that have been had and those that will be. A very good afternoon to everyone. Today, I, Sia Singh, will be discussing why cyberspace should be regulated. Internet is growing like an embryonic brain at a rate of 10% a month. There is no denying the fact that earlier we were connected to internet, but today we are the part of internet. It's a great Indian vomiting revolution where Indians are just vomiting information about their personal, professional, and social life on different social media platforms. Cyber threat all started from the year 1988, where a Stanford student named Robert Morris exploited the Unix software and thereafter created the first ever known worm which spread it quickly throughout the internet. Fortunately, the world was not interconnected, so there was much less harm. All the well-known MNCs have been compromised in one or more way. You name any, Apple, Toyota Motors, Yahoo, Microsoft, Adobe, Amazon, and many more. In fact, in recent years, Ukrainian nuclear power plant was being hacked by Russians. Softwares are being designed to do cyber attack. These are known as ransomware. They are like crypto lockers. They won't harm your computer, but instead they will encrypt each and every data from your system, which even can be your ATM card CVV number. According to BBC News source, and things like Android phone, iPhone, and in one interesting document, Samsung smart TV was being compromised. Basically, it was acting as a node and sending all the voice notes even when the TV was switched off. In today's scenario, absolute security is virtually non existent. What was secure today, what was secure yesterday is not secure today. And what is secure today will definitely not gonna be secure tomorrow. If you look into the Indian statistics, these are the crime reports, cyber crime reports in India. In 2011, it was about 14,000. In 2015, it was about 3 lakhs. And in 2020, it was about a crore. And I think the ground reality is far more bizarre, as we come from society where a victim is being looked upon. We come from a society where a victim fears negative media publicity if they report a crime. Our country doesn't have a plan in place for dealing with cybercrime. Though many amendments have taken place, but still the ground reality is far more bizarre. In closing, I would say that regulation of cyberspace is really a working solution. In the view of the fact that changes in technology have led a boom in cyber attack. Thank you.
Sia, you just told us that there have been so many cases, so many problems created in the cyberspace, so many people facing problems about it. Don't you think that our law is regulated?
No, I think.
I'm just telling. I'm asking about the personal law. I'm asking about the police, the home ministry, everything that is being regulated. Is it regulated? Do we have laws in place for crimes? We don't
I
have.
will
We
give
don't
you
have
an
laws
example.
for
In
crimes.
2000, India
Are
just
you
made a
getting my
law.
questions here? Please listen to me first. Please listen to me first. Aren't there laws about people murdering people? If a person murders people, is it will he get punished? He will get punished, right?
Yeah.
Does everyone gets punished?
No, I'm just giving you an example. Can you listen it first?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm all ears. Yes.
Yeah. In 2000, India has made amendments which was like good, but in 2008, it just changes all the policy. Except few, all were made believable, and it was justified as a biggest Indian historical mistake. And now also, India does not have a dedicated law for cyber crimes. There are, but there are not many.
The
And
world
that's
doesn't
why
have.
I said that it's
Do you have time?
1 minute is up, guys.
Okay. Yeah. So hello guys. Rather than going around what cyberspace is, what it is about, and how it is made, because I've been hearing 13 people talk about it, against and for it, and they just had their speeches intact. There was no debate in it. So let me just begin with the Pegasus. The first guy who talked about this cyberspace regulations, and he was speaking for it. He mentioned Pegasus. He said that the government should take control of the cyberspace because the government would manage it well, in a good way, logically speaking. So he talked about Pegasus. Well, who used Pegasus? The government used Pegasus to invade reporters and other political members, and you are trusting the same government with all of your data that you have in your phone to regulate it. Well, that's delusional. Then what came after that was someone speaking about a software, using a software to developing a software to regulate cyberspace. Do you guys know how huge cyberspace is? Do you even imagine it? Talking about in terms of it, if I have to compare cyberspace, I'll compare it with actual space, the black one, the empty space, right? So you're going to develop a software to control that. So ठीक है, even if we go develop a software for it, who's going to control it? Who's going to control it? A third party already. I heard a person saying that third parties are involved right now, and that's an issue. And you're already saying that a third party should look over a software that's going to regulate cybersecurity. Zero makes no sense. Government makes no sense. The Pegasus example makes no sense. Then came someone talking about Omegle, right? That Omegle is a site where there's so much of flashing, and that should be regulated. People go there because it's unregulated, because they can have the anonymity and they can talk to strangers about anything. Because obviously they're not going to judge them. When we talk about regulating cyberspace, there is no foundation behind it. There's no evidence behind it, because it's not regulated right now. And the only reason it's not regulated right now, because it cannot be regulated. And then like, if regulated, for example, the COVID scenario, I'll just compare it to that. COVID scenario happened. I know many of you posted their Instagram stories for that, right? That oxygen cylinders and stuff. The government didn't do anything. If regulated, if the cyberspace was regulated, I think we would have lost more lives, because the government said that posting stories about it is like illegal, and helping people is illegal. So I don't know what's the foundation behind it. And one person also mentioned that anonymity is a bliss, and yes, exactly, it's a bliss. So if you go on regulating something that is not broken, if you're going to fix something that is not broken, that doesn't make any sense. And everyone talking about regulating cyberspace, you guys even don't know how to do it. Then why are you asking us to do it? Give like, how to do it? There's no way to do it. There are 4.66 billion people, as Abhay told us. How are you going to manage 4.66 billion people? There's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but like, nothing. 13 people I heard speaking for the topic. Nothing. Absolutely zero. Thank you.
So
1 minute for interjection.
Yeah.
My interesting question for you will be, these crimes are increasing day by day. So don't you think regulating cyberspace will be essential? Cause if you don't, the cyber attackers will not only attack the personal space but also the private organization space. Like it
Sia,
is
did you
happening.
have this question already prepared, or did you hear me and then ask me this question?
I'm asking this.
You heard me first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that crimes are increasing on day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the cyber way.
Yeah, it's happening in the.
Do you think regulation is the solution? If regulation is the solution, give me the regulation. How are you going to regulate it?
There are many ways, like there are cryptography.
There are zero ways. You're talking about you're talking about regulating crypto. Crypto is not regulated because you don't have to pay taxes on it. And if you are paying taxes on crypto, they're going to government for doing nothing. Are you willing to pay 33 to 40% on an income that the government is not helping you to earn? And if you're willing to do that, senseless.
The
Thank
time
you.
is up. Thank you so much. So our last team is Ayushi Tripathi speaking for the motion and Shreya speaking against the motion. Ayushi?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thanks. One line before I start my speech, my stuff, okay? It takes 20 years to build a reputation, right? And just minutes for any cyber incident to just boom, ruin it, right? So, okay, coming to the point. Hello, everybody. I am Ayushi Tripathi speaking in favor of the motion. Regulated or not? Should cyberspaces be regulated or not? Of course, they should be regulated. Why am I here? I am here to talk about control, how organizations or how we as individuals can take control of the network to make it safe, to make it allow our kids to use it. You know what I'm talking about, child friendly. Excuse me, I am not here to talk about why October is considered to be the month for cyber security awareness. Oh my God, I can't still believe that cybersecurity has its own month. It's weird. Anyways, cyberspace. The word is scary, right? It's terrifying. Well, let me clear all of you, I mean, everybody who spoke, are you think that it's about computers, it's about IT, but it's not. It's not just about IT. It's about behaviors. Now, how I'll explain you that. First behavior, I'm not important. Gonna look up to me. No, my darling, you are super important. And yes, they're gonna come up to you. They're gonna find you. Second behavior, I don't have anything anyone could want. Yes, that's true. That's true. Yes, that's true. If I repeat, if you have your belief that they're gonna find you for your property, for your database, for your what do we call it, trade secrets, right? So there are 7.9 billion people on this earth and around 4.66 billion people who are online day to day, right? They're online day to day. So this is what is my point, that yes, cyberspaces should be regulated. Now, my very important point comes here. Please be attentive. Most important means most powerful. Okay, so now how to define it? Okay, where the word powerful comes, it comes with adjectives, right? It comes with adjectives. It has to be authentic. It has to be sophisticated. It has to be connected, moreover. But where the word connected knocks in, you need to know this, that connected has two phases in cybersecurity. Of course, I'm talking about this. Okay, it has two phases of the coin. One is the strength. Of course, it's powerful. It has to be strengthened, right? And the second one is weakness. And guys, you all know where the weakness falls. It falls in cyber scams, right? Okay. Now the most important point comes in. Victims of the cyber crimes or cyber scams don't know they are victims. They don't know they are victims. 85% of cyber crimes are discovered after weeks. 90% of them are discovered by, third parties. Right. So we are moving to the world of driverless cars. And this comes with a darker side. And my guys, the darker side is vulnerability. I hope you heard about the notion. Everything that's smart, each and everything that is smart is vulnerable. Okay. Oh my God, I just forgot about the passwords, right? The line about passwords. Okay, ending. Passwords are like underwears. Don't let people see it. Change it often. Otherwise, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Shreya, please interject.
Yeah, well, you just talked about passwords and then organizational control and victims. You talked about everything. I'm sorry, but half of your speech, I couldn't get the point where you just wanted to, speak for the motion. My question is, you talked about organizational control. So now, if we give, the power to the government, you are speaking about regulation that we should bring about. You give the power to the government, they will regulate it. Are you not giving the power to them to control you? You are talking about the apps, the tech giants that are controlling us, but no,
my point. 1 second. I will be repeating my point. The point was how organizations and how we as individuals can take up the control to control it, to make it more safe, comfortable, and child friendly. The third point, which comes, is child friendly. And when we come to child friendly, it is obvious that we are included because children are ours. Okay. And when
there are child control policies, if you go to Play Store, there are child control policies. Even I just, like, my younger brother got a new phone. He's just 13-year-old. We have a family link there.
One
there
minute.
is a 1 minute is over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, better luck next time.
Yeah. Maitri, shall I start?
Yeah, please.
Yes.
The internet, an effective means of social interaction, that inevitably altered human life is the new normal. Its utility to humankind could not be overemphasized as much as its inherent peril could not be undermined. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Shreya Tandon. I'm speaking against the topic. Till now, we've heard a lot about people speaking against, okay, this, etc. I'm not going to, tell you about what cyberspace is and all. I will just state my points of how giving the control to the government regarding cyberspace will bring up more and more problems to us as citizens. My first point will be about China. Take an example about China. That country has taken over all the cyberspace of its citizens. There are so many regulations, everything. Take an example. During the COVID times, the COVID started from China, as what we know, but we really didn't have any information of what is actually happening in that country. The media, anyone, they were not allowed to tell us about it. There were so many regulations. Regarding COVID 19, let me take it forward to our country also. The previous person and me, he spoke about it. I'll just take it forward. He talked about oxygen cylinders, etc. If it was not there, if we were not allowed to speak about it, if government had regulated us and everything, the cyberspace, then many more people would have died. Let me talk about PM Cares Fund. If we did not have a right to speech, if the cyberspace was regulated that time, so people would not have been opened up. They would not have been able to speak about their points about the PM Cares Fund, because we really don't know where that money went. So many people put up their money in it, we don't know where. And truly, frankly, I am not in the favor that we should give the government the power to take control over us. Take about the example of all of the internet shutdowns that have happened. I have friends in college who are from Kashmir. They have told me about how many problems they have gone through in that time. They couldn't actually just go on internet, watch anything, go on LinkedIn. Even nothing was there. Complete internet shutdown. Even me, in 2019, there were 3 days of internet shutdown. I could not go to YouTube to even study. That giving the power to the government to take over everything is such a big problem. I will talk about all the government all the digital payments that are going on these days. If the government has, if they are regulating it, our privacy is hindered. We talk against the government, our privacy is hindered. If we post anything against the government or anything, our privacy, our right to speech will be hindered. So I will end my speech just saying that okay, government should not be allowed to regulate the cyberspace. Thank you so much.
2 minutes are done. Okay, so may I do the interjections, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay. You pointed out something about PM Cares Fund, right? Where did the money go and stuff, which we give them, right? Okay. Now, everything was at stake, right? Railways was shut, bus services were shut, people were crying all around because everybody doesn't have money, of course. They need it, right? They're getting it. People who died, they're getting it, you know. And also the railway, whoever the employees are, they're getting the money. They got their salaries. Yeah, I know they were cut down to some shorter amount, but they were getting. This is to the bus services. Now, you when you are talking about just regulating it, sorry, not regulating it, how will that be possible?
First of all, that time the dire need was for proper medical facilities. In my area only, I was in Bangalore that time. The area I was living in, there were no proper medical facilities. The government did not do anything properly. There were no proper beds for the patients. There were no proper injections. So many people died that time. And in the, what we call Shamshan Ghat, there was line. There were actually lines, and many of my relatives died that time. And I have seen it with my eyes how many lines were there. They did not have proper facilities set up. But I don't know where the PM Cares Fund went. And actually none of the Indian knows, because we really did not get the actual amount that was in that and where the amount was used. Rather than using it for the proper medical facilities, they used it God knows where. That was my point.
Everything was proper, my dear. Everything is proper. Things away. Things went away. Excuse
Sorry to
your
interrupt, but actually the time is over now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your presence. It was great seeing such talented participants.
Now I would like to welcome our judges to kindly share their experience throughout this event.
It was a nice experience to hear such young minds and on this latest topic or current issues of contempt, whether the cyberspace be regulated or not. My point on this talk is that the cyberspace is already being regulated. IT cyber acts are already being implemented and intact there. So I agree with the Prabjot, whatever the points he suggested and given that were too accurate. And we already having in bits and places cyberspace regulation has been done. So actually we are looking for the balance between the regulation and the sovereignty that we must be looking for. So that's from my side, and I would like to congratulate all the participants. They already have given their best efforts and they have presented their opinion in a very well crafted way. Thank you, everyone.
Now I would like to request the judges to kindly announce the result.
Any guesses from the student side, from the participants, or should I announce?
I would like to guess. I would like to guess. Excuse me.
Sure, sure.
Sharanjot Singh should be the first one, okay? He was the best.
Okay. Sharanjot, are you there?
Sharanjot, I don't know his full name. Sharanjot Singh, right?
Okay. Sharanjot, it's a unanimous decision that you must be chosen as the best speaker for the day. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Now, for the team, first I would like to announce the runner-up team. First runner-up is team of Aditya Kumar and Aman Jain. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Now the winning team. Sia Singh and Sharanjot Singh, you are the winners. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am, what's the point of teams when individual people are winning? Like,
You have been judged on various criteria. And on that, cumulative points has been calculated.
we have come as teams, right? So why we selected the team members? Like you here self-select the team members. Like there was no teamwork. We were anyway individually participating.
Okay.
Ma'am, can we
At,
leave?
just a second, just a second. At last, I would like to thank all the judges, and most importantly, we would like to appreciate and thank our committee heads, Ms. Shikha Dabral and Dr. Anita Sharma, for not only guiding us, but also being always for us to boost our enthusiasm throughout the event. Also, all the participants, sorry, all the winners, this information is for you that you requested to come on 8th of November to collect your certificates as well as your prize money. Thank you so much.
Now everyone is requested to switch on the camera for the picture.
So if in any one of the team member is speaking good and the other team member is not speaking good, so anyway they will win, right?
Arushi, we will clear your doubts afterwards, okay? If it's fine for you.
No, because I didn't get it. Sharanjot Singh, he spoke very well, but so he spoke very well. So apparently his partner win because he spoke very well. I didn't get it.
Please call Anita ma'am here for the doubt clearance.
Okay. So, okay, okay, Arushi, we understand. Just, we just request you to kindly contact the student coordinator if you have any query. She will clarify each and every doubt of yours. Okay. Thank you so much. So, everyone is requested to switch on the camera, please. Still, there are some participants who are left. Priya, Karanjot, Kanishk. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, and happy Diwali.
Thank you, everybody, and congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Happy Diwali.
Diwali, everyone.